Hello, everybody. And today we're going to talk about the 215 gallons worth of shrimp tanks in my bedroom. First, we'll talk about my 75-gallon Blue Dream tank, and the issues and ways I've resolved it have been going in this tank. And we've got lots and lots of beautiful Blue Dream shrimp in here. Then we have the 100-gallon Blue Jelly shrimp pond. We got a bunch going on in here now. Look at all them blue jellies down there. And then last, but I don't know, maybe least, but not least, I don't know. We have my 40-gallon Fancy Red Tiger tank that I really don't like to talk about because it has me pretty aggravated. But I think, just maybe, we've turned a corner here because we've got more little babies in here than ever. And I'll talk about my problems, and I've done a lot in here to try to rectify some issues I was having. So we'll talk about all these tanks in here. So let's talk about the 75-gallon Blue Dream shrimp tank. So this tank I've actually learned a lot with this tank. This tank has been a very good learning experience because this tank gets lots and lots of natural sunlight, which causes me lots of issues. And I've also probably got 50% too much light on this tank. And so algae has always been a problem. As you can see now, it is a little bit cloudy. Even with even with my little cheap UV thing up here, it still goes through rounds of going green a little bit, which is what it's doing now. And also, anytime I try to trim plants, pull out moss, or do anything to disrupt the balance of this tank, it goes completely green, even with the UV. And then, especially, it goes crazy with hair algae. You can see here, there's still a good bit of hair algae finally in there in the moss. But, let me tell you, these stems of mermaid weed right here, those were not even visible a week or two ago. This whole thing, the Ludwigia here was completely covered in algae. It was algae from the spray bar all the way down to the moss. You couldn't even see the moss. This tank was a disaster just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you know what I did? It's always a balance of nutrients and light. So, what this tank probably needs is CO2 because it gets so much natural light, and I have too much light on it, to be honest. But I'm not going to do that. So what I have done, I shortened my light period from like 6 or 7 hours a day to only 3.5 hours a day. Now, mind you, this is normally lights off time. I keep my lights off during the day and let them go at night. So then I have so many tanks. That is the lights in the house for the most part. Unless you need to read a book or something, the fish tank lights are the lights in the house 90% of the time. But this tank gets so much light, natural sunlight, and this one does the same thing because this light, these are south-facing windows, so even though I have the blinds closed, a lot of light goes in here. And so I've shortened the light period down to this tank as well, to the 100-gallon Blue Jelly pond. Another thing that I would like to know is I did my very best to keep duckweed out of this tank. And somehow I noticed a few bits of it growing on the spray bar here. Oh, look at this. This is moss bits that are flowering. The moss, I've had this happen before where moss grows up above the water. I just noticed this in this tank right here making this video. Right, where's it at? Right, see how little that is? It's my finger. That is a Pilo moss flower. Now, I've had this happen several times in the past, but it's not real common. Where it grew right up close to the light, if the moss will creep up out of the water like this, I will get the moss to do the little flower bits. I don't know what the technical term is with moss, because I don't think moss is a flowering plant, but that's really cool. Super cool. Let's see if we get a better look if I can hold the camera still. Look at that. That's cool. Super cool. So when I first started this tank, I tried to do all kinds of things to make it to be what I wanted it to be, to try to make it look a certain way. Tried fertilizers and all that. And shrimp didn't like it. So now what I've done is I've just let Mother Nature take its course. I do my water changes every week, but I'm not messing with the shrimp. I'm not ripping out plants, because like I said, every time you take out plants, oh my God, this Ludwigia had taken over half the tank, and when I cut it out, oh my God, that caused a catastrophe. So this tank right here is a perfect example of balancing nutrients and light, because it really gets way too much light to not have CO2. Because when I leave the lights on, this thing will pearl like crazy, and the algae pearls a lot, and the plants pearl a little bit. But the shrimp, when you let nature take its course and just let whatever happens, and nature will find its balance, the shrimp have completely just taken off like crazy. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands and thousands of blue dream shrimp in here. So one of my next projects coming up will be trying to get this tank in order so I can call out the blue dreams, because I've just been letting them repopulate and do their thing. I haven't messed with the shrimp too much, and they look really, really good, but there is some calling I need to do. So that'll be one of the things I got coming up next. Alrighty, let's talk about the 100-gallon blue jelly shrimp pond. And much like the 75-gallon, the light coming in through these blinds is ridiculous. And so I only have this light on 3.5, 4 hours a day now. And just this tank has done the same thing. You couldn't even see the moss. Now if you look, you'll see there are some bits of algae mixed with that moss, but I've got the moss mainly cleaned up. And I didn't do anything other than take the lights off. Oh, look, we got some more moss flowering. How did I not notice this? I'm looking real close to the video. There's some more moss flowering. Super sweet. And then there's always like a little bit of a film on the surface in this tank, and the freaking pond snails. They like to do this floating at the surface crap, where they try to eat the surface bits. But we've got, let's see if I can get a good picture here of these guys. We've got tons and tons of blue dreams in here. Now, I've not really taken too many shrimp out of here. I took some out of here to take to the Keystone Clash with me. But the goal of this tank is, the next project we want to do with this is pulling out lots of shrimp and adding them to my existing blue jelly colonies. And I'm pretty excited about this, even though I think the pluckos are eating it. When I took down my old guppy pond, the pluckos that were in there, I took all the chocolates and put them in here. And since I've done that, these shrimp have really taken off. They like eating plucko poop, because before this was always just shrimp. And the pluckos have cleaned the walls. But I'm really excited about this red tiger lotus. Now this was in the soft water 40-gallon, and I did a whole bunch of changes on that, like I was saying at the beginning. And so I moved the red tiger lotus into here, and you can see here, I think the plucko's like eating the leaves. And there's always, I think, whatever's in here likes to eat the leaves here, but I'm trying to see if I can get them to grow let them all put out surface leaves, because when they're in the 40-gallon tank, I trimmed all the surface leaves off. But now it looks like everything under the water and the hard water is dying off, and the new growth I'm letting grow up to the surface up here by the light. So I'm hoping maybe that I can get it to grow or flower. So that would be cool. Look at that flowering moss. That, man, that's pretty cool. There's even like a little bit of a yellow flower on that one. That's so cool, because usually I don't get to see it that good. Because usually it's like on another tank, you have to be looking underneath the light on the tank, because this only happens where it's a lot of light and where it goes up out of the water. So that's cool. And last but not least, we have, well, maybe least in my opinion, we have the 40-gallon red Fancy Tiger tank that has me kind of, I don't know what to do. It's not like I've done one big thing wrong. It's not like I have had lots of multiple shrimp die at a time. It's always just like a shrimp every 5 or 6 weeks. They'll be like, what the heck happened to you, man? And the biggest problem is no baby survival. I've got more babies surviving now than I ever have. And let me explain to you what I've done. So, you can see there. Those are babies. Those 2 babies are almost a breeding size. Almost a breeding size. And there's a little teeny tiny one. So you may be thinking, this looks like crap. This used to be lush, beautiful plants everywhere. But I've taken some advice from Mark Shrimp Tanks and some advice from my buddy Valley Fish, and I could never get a nitrate reading in this tank, which means I never had any biofilm or algae growth. Now with my Neos, you just put the food in and it does good. But so what I did is I pulled out all the plants. As you can see, this thing was one of my best looking tanks I've ever done, but the shrimp were not doing good. So I pulled out all the plants and started throwing in a bunch of these leaves. My buddy Valley Fish, he's always got a tank full of leaves, and his are doing pretty good. So I figured I would try some of that. I got a whole bunch of Catawba leaves from Shrimp Envy. Now, it's hard to see the little babies. Usually when you lift up a leaf, you can see a baby or two. But there's one right there. So, and like the females, all the females were buried. Well, after they'd get buried, drop their eggs, have their babies. And then I usually would see, where's one? A good reference. I might usually see like a couple of these, but never would get bigger. None would ever get bigger than that. It's just, I have the Neocaridina formula figured out, but I'm still working on the Caridina. Now the water parameters are always, I'm going to do the classic, water parameters are good. No, seriously, the KH was always 0. The GH was always 6, maybe 7 sometimes. But these guys are about breeding age. And then we got that little tiny one that's out right now, right there. But I've come so close to just completely saying screw this, but I really want to be able to do them. I want to figure it out, but I have so much limited, my space is really limited. I even typed out a big long email here, just take them to my buddy. If you can get them to live, and I'm sure you can do better than I'm doing with them. But I got them off Grain Eater from the Garden of Eater, and he seemed to agree that I also used to have a lid on here. And Caridina like a lower temperatures. Neos can take anything, but I was in the upper 70s, pushing 80 the entire time I had these guys with the lid on. Now, I don't have a heater in here, but I do have that pump. And that pump, when it's sealed off, apparently is putting off more heat than I'd like. And so opening the top, it's usually like 71, 73, but right now we're in the fall. I actually had to turn my heater on in my house, and we're having a warm day today, so it is like 73, 74 right now. But it had been about 71, 72 here lately, last couple of weeks, but it's a little warm in the house right now because I didn't turn the air conditioner back on after turning the heater on. But we've got some good ones in here, and I think even though we've got like a fifth of the adults, there's only 2 females left and 2 or 3 males left that are OG adults. But I do have more and more starting to grow up. I'm seeing more and more little babies. Maybe, just maybe, we turn the corner. Now you can see all the plants, you can see all the snails in here. It's a freaking mess. I've been feeding, trying to get a nitrate reading. I finally started to get a little bit of a nitrate reading. Not a whole lot, but when I did and added the leaves, we've got some babies doing it. So all in all, I took the lid off, dropped the temperature by 7 or 8 degrees. I still been feeding, probably too much, but I got to try to get some nitrates in here, like even just a couple. Like I couldn't get any nitrates in here when I was full of plants. So I've been feeding lots of Bacter-AE, a little bit of my own food. And there's an algae wafer. I tried to get some shrimp out, but there's so many goddamn snails in here. It's hard to get. But what the females that I've always had, it's just a train of being buried and babies not living. So hopefully I have enough food and biofilm and the temperature's right. I've made lots of changes, come close to giving up, but maybe we turn the corner. We shall see. Because as far as the water goes, I don't know what else I could do different. Some good looking shrimp. All right, so there you have it. On top of my dresser, 40-gallon Caridina tank, my only soft water shrimp tank. Right here beside it, we have a 100-gallon blue jelly. Oh yeah, they're really starting to gather over here now. Look at all them blue jellies. And then the 75-gallon Blue Dream. I think this one's doing good. This one, even though it's doing good, still kind of not like my other tanks that get so much light. So I've been, like I said, that's a learning experience. This is about what I expected. And this is, I feel like a noob again. It makes me feel bad. So thank you guys for watching an update of the 215 gallons worth of shrimp in my bedroom. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.